really big and a really, really fun topic. How to keep dating your husband. Come on, single ladies. Come on, ladies who are in relationships. Come on, ladies who are just dating. You need to hear this message because it's not only for you if you have a husband, it's also for you if you are single and you need to learn how to keep dating your partner in the future. And today I have an absolutely remarkable person for the second time in my studio. And as you can imagine, I wouldn't invite somebody for the second time here if that person wouldn't be worth it, right? So, Dr. Constantina Stamou is a life and relationship strategic intervention coach. She is certified NLP Master Practitioner, and she has trained with the Robbins-Madanes Training School. And oh my God, everybody who is fan of Tony Robbins is my best friend. Constantina, I'm so happy and I'm so delighted to have you today because I know how much value you have to bring to us today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Olga. Really excited to be here.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, Constantina, please tell us, what do you think? Let's start with the mistakes. Let's start with why people stop dating in their long-term relationships. What happens? Why do actually they forget about the importance of chemistry?
Well, I think there comes a point, and it depends on where in the relationship someone is. Let's say you have a couple who have just had their first baby, and so the baby will take priority, right? We want the family to be healthy, and the baby to grow and be happy in its environment, and it has its own priorities, looking after its sleep, food, tantrums. Let's say a sibling arrives, there might be later on siblings arguing and fighting, and as the children grow, they might need they might want to do their own thing against your own judgment, and so family starts to take over, or parenting starts to take over. And that means stress, extra load of responsibilities, lack of sleep. And if you put on top of that the very busy professional lives that people have, or the very busy businesses with its own demands and its own kind of requirements of time and how much energy that also asks for the body and the mind, that's a lot to deal with. And so I think there's this unspoken deal that happens in the couple, that we can put our relationship a little bit on hold because, we're committed to each other. We're here, we have this business, we have this family. Of course, we are together, right? And so if we can put to the side the time we spend together just for us, I'm sure we're going to survive it, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. Until that stops being temporary and it starts to get prolonged, it lasts for much longer, and then years start to go by, not just months, years start to go by, and then the couple at some point turns around, looks at each other and realizes, oh, actually, we don't have much in common, or we it's very hard to find a topic to talk about, or it's a little awkward to spend 10 minutes together and not talk about business or the family. It's very hard to find a topic to discuss. And so, yes, and that's when a lot of people start to question, should I still be with my partner? Are we still the right fit for each other? As opposed to sometimes thinking, okay, how can we find our way back to each other? What could we do to rekindle the relationship, find again our spark and our passion, and go past that awkwardness that this sort of habit brought into our life? So, yeah. And you also have, or if a couple, they don't have their own family yet, still it's all this time they've spent together. Let's say the first few years they spent together, and then now they're so used to each other. They have gotten very comfortable with each other's company. Perhaps they've transitioned to feeling like siblings or housemates. And so again, because this has been this habit of spending time together in mostly in a familiar way, and not cultivating the romantic side, not cultivating the excitement, they start to feel that, oh, actually it's kind of hard to bring that back in. And so, yeah, they start to struggle.
I love that. And I love how you addressed actually the issues which people are facing. They really forget about the importance of having just a normal conversation, apart of whatever is happening in our life. And you know, something interesting you mentioned there, that people run out of topics to talk about. How crazy is that, right? But I think you're so right that people forget about the importance of communication in relationships. So I love the fact how really, really colorfully you address the issues of why people stop dating their husbands or their partners in relationships. What are your top tips for how to continue dating your husband? I think this is a dream come true. Honestly, Constantina, I think if we can just educate people on how they can keep the chemistry going, the relationship flowing, the world will be so much better place. So please share your tips on that.
I couldn't agree more. Do you know, I think when we first meet our partner and we start dating, the purpose for that is to kind of get to know them and see if they're the right fit for us. So they try to impress us, we try to impress them. And so, we try to excite each other. And often for a lot of people, it's also about checking if they're sexually compatible. But after you've been with someone for years, or after you've been married and you have this shared life, the purpose of dating is not to, it's not to excite each other in the same way. It's not to get to know each other. It's more about building and deepening the emotional connection that you're sharing. And so that changes the focus a little bit of dating. So when before, let's say someone was you had to prepare for 2 hours for the date, or you had to think about a date that will last 3 or 4 hours or 5 or half a day, or I don't know, long trips abroad to spend a holiday there and get to know each other more. You don't have to do that anymore. You can. It doesn't have to be that way, which means that a very busy couple who are parents and have this busy business, they can start to think about how can we spend the first or 10 minutes together once a week. And it can be over coffee in the morning, even before the whole family has woken up. Or it can be half an hour on a Sunday evening after the children are in bed. And instead of choosing to go on social media and check what friends are doing, or instead of doing an extra email for work, or instead of doing laundry, like the house, it can survive half an hour of not being looked after. What would it do for the relationship if people were to decide, to really spend a little bit of time together at the beginning, if they haven't done that for some time? And, it's going to be awkward at first. It's going to be quite weird if the couple haven't done that for some time. It's going to be awkward to just sit together and make sure that they don't talk about business, they don't talk about family. But even being willing to tolerate a little bit of that awkwardness at the very beginning, if they insist, if next week they do another 10 minutes, or the week after they do another 10 minutes, gradually they will find that things are going to start to pop into their mind. They're going to start to have ideas and topics they could discuss, and they will start to find a flow through these conversations. So it would be about deciding. So the first step would be to decide to commit to having at least once a week a date with their partner, even if it's small. So the second tip would be about deciding to not talk about business and to not talk about the family, and to be willing to tolerate any awkwardness that will perhaps arise. And the third tip is to kind of help them individually for themselves, try to remember why they're together in the first place. Like, there is a reason they chose a partner. There's a reason they have a business with them, or there's a reason they have a family together. There's a reason they chose to be long-term or to get married. So what was the reason originally? Why did you choose this particular person? Why? What was the feeling that they were bringing into your life? And why did you feel that long term you could be with them? And I think all these together could be a really good start to cultivate that culture of dating and having that regular habit. And, it's dating. We're not meant to stop. We should not stop. We can be dating until the age of 90, 100, doesn't matter, because, life has its own variety. It will keep bringing us topics to discuss. It will keep bringing us ideas to explore. And also, we know that the more time we spend together, the more time we spend with quality time with our partner, the deeper our emotional connection becomes. And that's what we want. We want to have that deep, strong bond with each other.
That is so true. It's so beautiful when you see a couple who are fully in love and you can see their chemistry and you see them looking at each other inspiration, and there's lots of things happening through their body, through their mind, but they don't show up, but you can tell because the energy is just bursting out of them. And I think what you said is really powerful. It's about actually coming up with ideas how you can reignite your relationships. Dating night. I mean, of course, before you were preparing for the date, of course, you were putting the effort to look your best for your date, right? The best dress, the best shoes. You want to look your best. And what happens eventually? People start living together. They start wearing so-called home outfits, which are like very often like well-forgotten gym outfits, right? Who has seen a better life? And I always say, no. How about dressing up in a way that your partner will look at you, will think, I want that, right? And it's not about being provocative. It's about still looking good for your partner, right? Because we make so much effort for other people, but we forget about our partner. So I love how much you address that. I think this is really, really important. But what about intimacy? Because this is such almost like a no topic, almost like people expect intimacy to slow down over the time because now they've been together for some time. So, it doesn't really matter. I think it should be always kind of like top priority in relationships. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's true. There's this first honeymoon period that we go through, and I think it varies a little bit from people to people. Like for some, it lasts for 2 years. For others, can be 4 to 5. And after that, naturally, the kind of the hormonal party subsides, right? And at that point, if we let things sort of carry on the way nature, let's say, intends, yes, a lot of couples will find that gradually they start to stop having sex. It will be once a week, it will be once a month, and then every 6 months, and then some people stop altogether. But what it's good to do is to carry on planning. It's good to carry on planning having sex, because we don't really realize when we first start to date, we are actually planning for sex. We just don't do it necessarily consciously. This is why, we dress up so well and we put the perfume and we do all these things to excite each other. Eventually they do lead to sex, and we want that, right? But we don't necessarily go on our diary and say, on Saturday we're going to have sex. We say, on Saturday I'm going to meet my partner, or on Saturday we're going to go on a date, which would lead to sex, but we don't consciously talk about that, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's just that now, especially again, if there are children or if there is a busy business life, you might consciously call this is my sex day, or on Saturday we're going to have sex. Regardless of what's going to happen or however the day goes, we're going to have sex that day. And if it will feel weird to think about it like that at first. But if the couple is willing to bring some of the practices of the early days, indeed to think about, okay, what could I wear on that day? How would I like to present myself that day? Or what could we do that day that could naturally lead to sex? What could allow us both to relax and to be comfortable with each other, so we don't feel the pressure that we have to have sex today? Absolutely. And also, if let's say it's Monday and we're planning to have a date and we're planning to have sex on Saturday, that's a lot of days to look forward to.
Yes.
To have it to look forwards and to feel excited and to get into the mood. Because desire, yes, it is in the body and it is in the mind. Desire it's in the body and it's in the senses, but it's also a lot in our mind. So we can do a lot of things on our own, cultivating that by thinking about the date, thinking about the sex that we can have, of course, thinking about our partner, and again, why we chose them, why we want to be with them, and why they're so hot for us, why it's so exciting to be with them. And so, when the day comes, this will all make it even easier, and we start to forget about the planning. We actually enjoy it, and we look forward to planning the next date and the next sex date. So
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
I think this is very special. I think what you said there is really, really special. And it reminds me actually of a bit older couple with whom I was working. And it's so remarkable how, people have this stigma, this belief that the older you become, less interest you will have into intimacy, which is an absolute BS, as you know. And what's really interesting how with them, they were quite shy to even bring it up, because clearly they had a bit of misunderstanding what was coming to that department of their life, but they were also quite shy to talk about this. And what we spoke about is because it is an important part of relationships, it was quite remarkable to see the result of them actually working on their intimacy and coming up with a rule: try things once. If you don't like it, don't use it. If you don't like it, don't do it. Right? Because very often people think it's only about having that they always did it before. But as we know, everything in life, if you always eat the same food, you're going to run out of vitamins and nutrients in your body. You have to kind of diversify your food, right? You have to diversify your holidays. You have to diversify your activities. And intimacy can be the same boring stuff. And I'm like, no, we need to spice it up. I like how you also suggest to actually schedule that and having that something to look forward to. This is really exciting. Love that.
And it's a great opportunity to discuss with the partner. I mean, it depends, of course, on the levels of trust and how comfortable the couple is discussing things together. But assuming that they have reached a point where they feel they can openly discuss these things, it's a great way to explore what is it that you like now today after 10 years together? Because chances are what the person liked when we first met them, they're not the same person anymore. The body has changed, their mind has changed, their life experiences have changed them. So chances are what they enjoy sexually today is going to be different from what they used to. So it's a great topic for conversation. It's really great to just get to know them in that sense. And, it doesn't necessarily have to lead on to sex on that same day, but absolutely they can, on the receiving end, you can use these tips and ideas and thoughts that they bring in you up. And that can spark a new date idea or a new way of having sex, a new way to touch them, a new way to kiss them, a new way to kind of help their senses activate in the body.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Because again, if you don't invent new stuff, just like in the business, if you don't invent in your business, it's going to die. The same with your relationships and intimacy in relationships. I love that. I wonder how far our message will get today, because we have people joining from all different places and lots of hellos, lots of highs, all the way from Iran. I cannot see everybody saying their location, but I can see people join us, which is amazing. And Junie on Facebook, she says, nice job doing. It's good. It's good we're doing this with you, darling, because people do enjoy that, which is awesome. So would love to hear, guys, where are you joining us from? Because we want to make sure that couples can hear this message as far as possible in the world. And please make sure you also share it, because more people having better relationships means we can have better society, we can have better future. And I know the topic says how to keep dating your husband, but I'm sure you can learn a lot from listening to this topic, even if you are that husband. And if you're that husband and your wife haven't listened to this topic, maybe in that case, you can teach her some tips based on listening to this topic. So it's wonderful to see so many people joining us. But Constantina, I have a question here. What about those single people who are right now without any partner, right? They would like to date somebody, but they can't. They're single. What they can do in order to practice these tips? Because without having a partner, you can't really practice all what we discussed. But what they can do in order to practice that?
Lovely. Okay. So if someone has been in a relationship before, it's a great opportunity to take a step back and remember and think about how it worked for them. If they reach a point where indeed the honeymoon period finished, and if they felt or if they can remember slipping into, let's say, what you were talking about before, the more comfortable clothes and kind of avoiding talking to each other about things that were not necessarily easy to reach for, like business or children. or even if it's about topics that involve, let's say, only friends, like the easiest topics to reach. Because if that was the case, then you could do it's like an exercise for the mind. How could have I done it differently back then? So of course we're all going to have the days where we want to be in our comfortable clothes. And of course there are going to be days that we want to be kind of on a couch, sitting and relaxing and just cuddling, or not cuddling and just be by ourselves. But if it's like 80% of the time, then we need to remember that we're closing the door to desire. If we keep on doing that regularly, then all we're doing is we keep on closing the desire, the door to desire. So to open that, it will take effort and it will take time. So is it really worth it? Do we really want that? And do we value having an sexually intimate life that can last? Or do we really value desire? Do we want this in our life? Because if we do, yes, indeed, we have to choose to be looking after our appearance more often than we don't. We have to choose to see what sort of topics of conversation could we bring into our kind of shared moments with our partner that can help us both enjoy spark and excitement. So let's say if our partner enjoys music and we don't so much, okay, but could we still learn how to enjoy it from their perspective? What is it that they like about it? What is it that attracts them to it? Maybe it's something about the quality of the sound. Maybe it's about the way different instruments are played, or maybe it's about the life of the musician who created that song or who created that piece of music. Or it can be about patterns. Music is like a language. It's like math. It has its own ways of bringing sounds together. So there's all these different ways of exploring the topic, and it doesn't have to just reflect the way we see the world. There's always so much we can learn from how another person sees their passion. And so exploring that, it can give us hours and hours and hours to talk with our partner. And it will always, of course, deepen our connection because it's a topic that it interests them.
Yeah. I love it. That's really powerful. And again, at the end of the day, we all know how to build good relationships. It's about the other person. So why do we, when we are in relationships, now step out of that golden rule and it's all about me now? It's all about children. It's all about business and everything else. So spot on. Well, what a surprise. Of course, you're an expert in relationships, right?
We both are.
Yes, but it's a pleasure to talk to somebody who is so wise and who has so much wisdom. It's really, really remarkable. But you see here, I think you highlighted a really important point here. Just go back in your past experiences and see what have you done before, what worked, what didn't work. We all can learn so much from our past relationships. However, what happens in society, people get out of relationships and they think, now we're going to show you. And they go out and about, dating left, right, and center. They meet somebody and they jump into relationships because they want to show their exes, look at me, I am with somebody now. Right?
Yeah.
I'm always saying, no. You detox your body. You clear out your car. You do sprinkling in the house. How about doing sprinkling here? How about detoxing your mind before you step into new relationships, right? Because how can you keep dating your husband, keep dating your partner in the future if you never undated your previous partner and undated all those mistakes, undated everything what you had to learn, right?
Absolutely.
It's so powerful. And it's quite remarkable how, because every time when I work with clients and I say, okay, now we're going to go on 30 days detox. And they're like, 30 days what? I was like, 30 days detox. Like, no, I'm not into these health nutrition. I'm like, who said we're going to do that? No. We're going to do opposite sex, 30 days detox. And people always think I'm going crazy. And I always say, well, you got to really calm your energy down. If you're a man and you were next to female for too long, your testosterone goes down. If you're a female, you were next to a man, obviously you have your reactions going a bit crazy, especially if it was really painful relationships, right? So it is important to actually allow yourself the energy to rebalance itself and to not think about man or woman, not text them, not see them, because then when the right person appears, and even if it is not right person, you don't compare them to your past, right? You let the past go. What do you think about this, Constantina?
I agree. It's really good to have those times in the week and in the month and in the year where there's not necessarily, you don't spend 24 hours with them. And yeah, it can be for a few hours, or it can be for much longer than that. I mean, if you think about, major religions, how they have also have put this in their week, where you don't have sexual relationships on 2 or 3 particular times of the week, for instance, right? One of the reasons for that was to indeed cultivate desire and create that feeling of, oh, I miss my partner, I want to be with him.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think we're meant to be 24/7 together. And we see this with the pandemic right now, how hard it has been, right? It doesn't mean that, okay, for some people it has been easier to manage that. For some, it has been really, really tough. But it doesn't mean that we should be comfortable, not comfortable is not the word, that we're not really meant to be 24/7 together. We are meant to have some time apart, because that only makes us better, coming back together. It gets us much more excited and much more loving, and with more things to talk about. So breaks, absolutely, they're really useful and really good for the mind and the body. Absolutely.
That's true. I love the fact that you mentioned the lockdown and that people shouldn't spend 24 hours together. However, now during the lockdown, they do. And especially now, considering we're going to go probably in a second wave of lockdown, right? I mean, obviously, we're going to experience something similar again. But what do you think people can learn? Because I know you have courses on relationships. Is it right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, could you please tell us more about this? Because I'm sure people can actually benefit from learning more about relationships from you. Could you please tell us more about your courses?
So the course is called Passion Patterns. It reflects the strategies that I've trained in, and it's part of the Strategic Intervention School. So I'm qualified and certified to teach those in particular. So through them, we learn indeed passion patterns, things we can use in our relationship on a everyday life. So losing my words today. Every day, long term, to keep cultivating the spark between us and to keep cultivating and deepening the emotional connection. So the course is 12 weeks long. It's 1 hour a week, and it gives us home practices to keep on applying to our everyday life. And it's suitable for couples, but also even if it's one person from the couple, and for single people, because we can still apply them with a slightly different perspective into our friendships and into our family and friends, and people that we meet and with people we want to date.
Wow.
So yeah.
Sounds like fun. It sounds like proper fun. What I will do, I will get the link and I will post it below the video so people actually can check it out and educate themselves. Because I think there's a phrase which I love using: the more you learn, the more you earn. But it's not necessarily monetary value all the time. It could be here, in this case, in relationship case, it's about the more you earn of passion. The more you earn, the more you actually create that amazing feeling of connection and being just in love with each other. But that comes from knowing how. Because unfortunately, nobody comes out of family with a manual how to live life, with a manual how to build relationships, right? With a manual how to be good with your finances. We all learn hard way. So it will be quite easy and effortless to actually come to your course and learn from yourself. This is amazing. Wow. Constantina, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but I must make sure that we actually do bring more value, maybe on a regular basis, rather, overload people with lots of information, because there's a lot more we can talk about relationships and how to keep it reignited. But could you please tell us how people can get in touch with you and what could you do for them?
So they can find me through my website. It's called thelantern.uk. And they can schedule with me, if they are happy to do that, a 45-minute free consultation where we can talk about their relationship goals and how we can, my chair just dropped, how we can move forward with that. And they are also they are very welcome to join the Passion Patterns course, where we can learn and apply these kind of strategies and tools to our everyday life.
Amazing. That is super powerful. Thank you for letting us know. Well, what I will do, I will definitely make sure that I will share the links to your website and also to your social media, as well as the course, so people can learn more from you. But I must thank you from the bottom of my heart. And actually, we have here a really beautiful comment from Zuhaib. He says, "Thank you, Olga and Dr. Constantina. Really informative. Thank you both, gorgeous ladies." How nice is that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Deepak also says, "Hello, raising a good topic on network." That's beautiful. Probably you say like in the network, but doesn't matter. But thank you so much, Deepak. Really appreciate your comment as well. This is amazing. Zohaib actually says, "I'm separated and single again. Is there anyone to mingle?" Well, that's a good question. Maybe you need to go actually out and about and find somebody to single and mingle. But thank you so much, Constantina, for coming today. It was such a pleasure having you today. And everybody who stayed with us till the very end, thank you so very much for listening, tuning in, commenting. And please make sure you do share this information with other people who you think will benefit, because the greater relationship we're going to build around us, the healthier we're going to be as well, because you are the average of 5 people with whom you spend most of your time. Let's remember this. So thank you, my darling, for being here with me today.
Thank you so much, Olga. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.